Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're DataKind. We're here to talk a bit about our DataKit event, inspiring community towards data-driven impact. I'm Shayna. I'm a bit of your MC, but I'll also be in the chat making sure that any questions are answered. If you do have questions along the way, please put them in the Q&A portion of your Zoom screen at the bottom. That will enable us to track and answer questions along the way. So again, we'll welcome everyone. Please continue to introduce yourself. We're so excited to have you join us for this event to share a little bit about how we're on over the next month, at least, going to inspire community action towards data-driven impact. So we'll go ahead into the next slide and get started. Okay, great. So as we get started, just a couple of reminders. As you all registered for our event, you acknowledged our code of conduct. And as we work through these various challenges, we have a favorite motto at DataKind, being tough on ideas, but gentle on folks. So we definitely welcome the amazing collaboration that we're about to embark on. We are recording this webinar event. So again, we'll be providing this recording and the slides within the next day or so, so you'll always have that to refer back to. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Feel free to put any questions that you have along the way, and we'll be answering those. We'll make sure to have time for that. And then, of course, as you engage in our DataKit event, feel free to shout us out on social media with #DataKind. So going ahead into the next slide, this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about DataKind. We know some of you are familiar with us. Some of you, it may be your first time. So welcome and welcome back. We'll talk a little bit about who we are, talk a little bit about the DataKit event itself. We're going to give more context to the theme of this event and the tools that we'll be working on, CART and DOT. We'll share with you how you can get started with the data kit and, like I said, allow time for question and answers. So going ahead, just sharing a little bit about who we are at DataKind. So at DataKind, we're a nonprofit organization that tackles the world's toughest challenges with data science and AI to essentially improve the capabilities, reach, and scale of social impact organizations. And we do this by having an in-house technical team, but we also partner with you all as a community of data science experts to design innovative solutions to these challenges and help support these social impact organizations. Our volunteer community has been a cornerstone of our organization, and we're excited to be able to partner with you again through this event. Going into the next slide, so as we partner with those organizations to design solutions, ultimately success for us is when DataKind and our partners have created those solutions that obviously help the partner in mind, but also have the ability to be adopted widely and contribute positively to sector level problems. And just to give you a little peek of what we've done to date since we first started DataKind back in 2012, we're proud to have, again, a vibrant global community of supporters, over 30,000, representing 174 countries. We have 5 volunteer chapters. We've engaged in various events, 250, more than that, over the past several years, serving over 200 partner organizations with a collective over 239,000 hours that have been contributed in support of social impact organizations and those tough challenges. So that's a little bit about us. Now we're going to dive a little bit into the data kit, and I have with me my colleague, Tally. You are in for a treat to hear a little bit more about this theme and the tough challenges that we're working to solve for, and we're just excited to be working with you. So I'm going to turn it over to Tally.
Thank you, Shayna, and hi, everyone. Thank you again so much for joining. It's amazing to see people from all over the world. be a part of this data kit. Let me start by telling you a little bit about why we're doing the data kit in the first place. So you're probably all quite familiar with events like GovLab's 100 Questions initiatives or Kaggle. So we were inspired actually by these initiatives and others similar to Code for America's National Day of Civic Hacking and many other inspirational ways to really shape engagement in the community, and particularly with social impact organizations, without the sort of startup burden of identifying initial problems and data and all of that. We really just know that there's so much local talent out there and enthusiasm and innovation and ideas, and we really want to bring all of that together in a sort of project in a box. The goal of this data kit is really to make it super easy for you all to start making an impact at your own pace, on your own schedule, and thanks to sort of expert-defined challenges. They have already come from those who are in the sector facing these challenges day in and day out. So what is the data kit? It is a kit. It is free and open, self-contained. So it's basically got a series of community-solicited social impact questions, challenges. In this case, we're also looking at, particularly technical problems that we know the community has identified as needing to be solved. And they really just need some of your amazing skills and your storytelling skills too. These are self-paced activities, flexible timelines. There's no one's going to be checking up on you to see, whether you're working or not. It's an always open atmosphere. Just feel free to work on these challenges when you can. And then we have a huge global connectivity and really a massive engaged community of practice. So we're going to have ways in which we can all stay connected throughout the course of this data kit. We'll have a gallery of results that are being developed and insights that are being developed over the course of the data kit to share with everyone so that folks can learn from one another. And of course, we have options for customization and extension by our partners. Our partners are actually looking and watching this space to see how they can take the contributions that you make forward. This is actually DataKind's second data kit. And the first one that we did was focused on the housing sector. And I'm excited to bring to you today our second data kit, where we're going to focus. The theme of this one is going to be on advancing our open source solutions for health impact. There are two open source solutions that I'm going to tell you about today. And both of these have been volunteer-led, and really it's a true testament to the impact that you can have on some of the most pressing challenges facing health systems around the world. First up, I'm going to introduce CART, or Container-Based Action Routing Tool, or Routing Tool, depending on where you are. CART addresses really a widely experienced pain point in the frontline health sector, and that is route optimization. When it comes to the delivery of essential health services, like delivering medications or medical supplies or medical equipment, or thinking about picking up lab specimen samples door to door. We all lived through COVID recently. We know how critical that was. Or the delivery of sort of related services, like providing container-based sanitation in areas where there's no chance of having piped connections. These types of issues present massive operational challenges, and they're really complex. I'll give you a few examples. Manually trying to plan the routes of meeting customer demand, getting to all of these customers to deliver your services can, our partners have said, lead to 3 or more times as many trips as needed, which really quickly adds up in fuel costs, and that really adds up on a day-to-day basis. When you have a massively growing customer base, this leads to so many changes and frequent changes of pickup routes and service windows, making it just really complicated for people without the right tools to figure this out and not upset their customers. Reliance on a driver's knowledge, for instance, of where to go and how to get there, particularly in areas where you don't have, your Google Maps doesn't work as easily. makes it a real challenge to onboard new drivers who are new to those regions or reassign those drivers to new areas. So many of these organizations are handling these complexities with manual processes, and CART addresses those types of challenges. And it's one of the coolest and most impactful products that DataKind has built, and it's all been led by volunteers. Here's a little glimpse into CART in the world. Since volunteers started working on CART back in 2019, and since then, this very solution, I think I'm just going to go back a second and show you that slide where this image that you're seeing here is one of the first sort of solution approaches that a volunteer team had come up with in order to address the sort of issues around data processing and preparation, all the modeling and optimization that goes on, as well as visualization. So in the world now, CART is it's taken off. It's being used by an organization called SOIL in Haiti, in Cap Haitian, where it's been scaled from over something like 800 customers to over 3,000. And it's helping them scale up their services where they actually deliver container-based sanitation to their clients. It's also been used in Nairobi in Kenya by Sanergy. And last year, a group of volunteers came together to add significant enhancements that I've listed here to make CART basically meet the unique needs of another city, Lima in Peru. So we're very excited about CART, and that I think we believe CART is a fantastic candidate to be recognized as a digital public good. A DPG is a certification that really gives social impact organizations, as well as other institutions and governments even, the confidence that these organizations and institutions are looking to use open source technologies, but this certification gives them the confidence that it meets the high standards, guidelines, and best practices, and they can feel confident about using a DPG. We've identified certain challenges, but we think that critical areas where we think your skills and contributions over the next few weeks can help us realize this goal for CART. Speaking of digital public goods, let me now introduce our second solution. This is another one that we'd love your help to advance. This is the Data Observation Toolkit, and this is actually already a digital public good. DOT is if you like, a data management tool. It enables the automatic detection of inconsistent or problematic data in relational databases. This really addresses another massive challenge in the frontline health sector, which is so much data, especially since mobile phones have become really ubiquitous. Frontline health workers, community health workers are using mobile phones to collect data. While all of that's been great, the challenge has been trust in that data. Can that data actually be used to inform decisions? What kind of care should be provided? Who should be prioritized? Can that information actually be used to inform policy discussions and debate and resource allocation at, really thinking about resource allocation at district levels or even more locally? So we wanted to really figure out how can we address this issue and create pathways to increasing the trust in community health generated data. And so I'm going to tell you about the journey, but again, through a massively wonderful experience, entirely volunteer-led, we came up with this amazing tool that is so highly configurable. It really meets our own North Star to ensure that it is a flexible tool, it's adaptable, it can really be used, it's platform agnostic. So it can be used by any organization to monitor the data quality issues. And it supports, the users to sort of define their own taxonomies of what they consider problematic data. We know that what I consider data quality problems in my work may be different to what you consider in your work and your day-to-day life. So really excited to introduce DOT to you all. It is, this, like I mentioned, again, a very massively contributed by volunteers. Here's a little bit about the journey. Again, back in 2019 is when we started working on this issue. Volunteers first came together, a number of volunteers first came together to address trying to think of a scalable solution that can be, that can actually address those data quality issues in a way that doesn't burden frontline health organizations from sort of learning, tremendously new skills, right? Just recognizing that those organizations exist to provide healthcare, not necessarily like build new technologies. So volunteers came together and developed a prototype solution back in 2019, using open source libraries like DBT and Great Expectations, and came up with a test suite of over 160 tests and provided a sort of inconsistent or problematic data cookbook, this sort of idea that it's a recipe book. If you're looking for a particular type of data quality problem and a test to check that, you can go into the recipe book and find it. That held so much promise with our community and our social impact organizations that our partner Medic and DataKind undertook an extensive study to really figure out how extensive are data quality problems in the frontline health sector, and what are the impacts on the health system. So that study was published, and you'll be getting a link to that to check it out. But based on that, we've realized that we definitely have to keep moving this along and get to the next stage and really make this cool prototype and this art of the possible into a product that's out there in the world. So volunteers took that work forward in 2021 and released a beta version called the Data Observation Toolkit. That's when DOT came about. And then since then, in 2022, we really invested in DOT and taking it to a production level tool that is out there in the world. And we sent, right now it's deployed in 4 areas. So let me tell you a little bit about DOT in the world. DOT is currently deployed on Medic's platform, Community Health Toolkit, which is used by over 40,000 community health workers. The Ministry of Health Uganda uses DOT on their electronic community health information systems. They're really rolling this out to be a nationwide program. And right now it is already set up in 2 districts, serving over nearly 700,000 people. And it is used to monitor the maternal health workflows. Riders for Health, a completely different use case. Riders for Health, a very cool organization that is managing incredible frontline health logistics. They are using DOT to basically manage their fleet and ensure that the data about their fleet of vehicles is up to date, good quality, and reliable, as well as the data around the transport of one of the most critical operations, which is the transport of infectious disease samples from remote locations all the way to national laboratories and back again. And finally, volunteers have also since helped us expand DOT not only to work on relational databases, but recently now it can also help organizations that capture their data in spreadsheets. So that's just another little extension that has been so wonderful, making it more accessible for social impact organizations. All right. So I've introduced those 2 open source solutions that we're hoping to, have your support and your skills to advance. So let me get started then on our DataKit event. Here's what we're going to do. After this webinar, we're going to get you all to connect in our Slack workspace. Through the next few weeks of basically self-paced and self-organized collaboration, you will go through the challenges that we've set up for you. You'll analyze some of the data that we have on our repos to use, or bring your own data sets to visualize, and basically look at creating some initial insights, prototypes to inform how we advance our open source solutions. As I mentioned, you'll connect over Slack, but also, as you're getting to know each other, are you co-located? Maybe you want to connect in person. DataKind will certainly set up periodic office hours for you to come by and have a chat, and we'll make sure that we spread them out so that in terms of time zones, so that it's convenient for you to come in and join. And make sure, of course, that you commit all and any of your work to GitHub. We are definitely going to be on hand to engage with you throughout the DataKit. The next part of getting started is really about learning and contributing. So, part of it is going to be research. You might be thinking, as you look at our two solutions, that you have seen other similar or relevant data solutions that we should be learning from. Great. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make sure that we are using what's already out there, but if there's a gap, we make sure that we address that. We want your help to demonstrate, the value of our two wonderful open source solutions here. So use your own data sets, maybe identify some learnings, and tell us the story of what you, how you think these solutions bring value. And then prototyping, of course, please do turn your ideas and information and into action by creating mockups, user flows, written documents, or even experimental applications to show the potential of innovation within these solutions. Then tackle one or more of the challenges. With data quality, as I mentioned, we identified a few things that will really help advance. Dot. We know that we really want to demonstrate Dot's value and its premise. This is really key. Although we have some amazing organizations that are using it and they're really trying to share it with their sort of spheres of influence and their networks, the key is, the issue is that data quality continues to be a persisting pain point for the health sector. In fact, probably all sectors. The key really is to help organizations address data quality issues and show them that this is a straightforward and good solution to start to not only identify those data quality problems, but also find your pathway to remediating those issues. We also want to enhance Dot's user experience. This is, as you probably know, it really matters what your experience is in the first place. A complicated or tedious user experience can be such a barrier to adoption and to the sort of sustainable use of any application. Our social impact partners are doing impactful, important work, and we really want to lower all of those barriers to adoption. So we want your help to make Dot more user-friendly and efficient, help us to streamline processes, bring in some automation. Gen AI, there must be lots of opportunities there. We're keen to see where we can bring that in, and just in general provide more intuitive interfaces for folks. And then, of course, its features and capabilities. We want to ensure that, for operational adoption and recurring use, Dot's integrated, the feature set and ability to integrate with data sets, analytical tooling, and so on are meet the needs of today. So would love for you to tackle challenges for Dot. Or if you're more drawn to thinking about, optimization and route optimization, we've identified some challenges with CART as well. We think that while, CART meets certain needs already, for sure, but we think that accurate route optimization really starts with, at the moment, it starts with manual data entry, and this is prone to errors. We want to help make CART really resilient by developing robust validation mechanisms and error checking workflows. Is there a way to use Dot in CART? I don't know. It's out there. We'll leave it to you. We also want to increase CART's usability. CART's deployment right now does assume a certain level of technical aptitude, which can, we've learned, can create some barriers to entry. And we certainly want to just make sure that it is just a more guided user experience. You can explore tooltips, wizards, and other UI innovations to transform CART into a more intuitive and valuable tool. And certainly we want to allow for customization. Users have such unique needs and preferences. And CART offers many options and solutions adjustments, but we really do want to see if we can help optimize and really make it a little bit more easier for folks to enter their preferences and for that to stay in place as they continue using the tool. And finally, we really want to keep celebrating. We want to celebrate everything that you try and learn. Things that don't work are equally important to know about. We want to engage, with you all, and we'll try to share weekly sort of what we're seeing, what we're learning, and we encourage you to share with each other too. You will earn certificates of participation, and you'll get your DataKind digital swag, which is really cool. And of course, you will be joining our amazing global network of technologists. So we really want to celebrate that as well. If you are ready to take action, then here's where you go next. You have the QR code. You will be joining us first in Slack. And in there, you will find the event website. So that will take you to the site. It will have this presentation, several other resources, all of those challenges, and everything else that you're looking for. And of course, you can check out the link at the bottom there for some digital swag. All right, with that, I will pause here and see if we have any questions, Shayna, that have come up while I've been chatting away.
Thanks so much, Tally. We actually have some questions coming in. A really good question around someone that's sharing that they're new to data science and if that's an issue for them to participate. So if you can share more about that, or maybe perhaps folks that have more experience within the domain of, some of the tools that are relevant to this event.
Yeah, I can say that I think this is a great opportunity, especially if you are new to data science. Once you get into the CART repo or the dot repo, go ahead, check it out. It is open source, it's out there, all the code is there for you to try it out. And it's so, I think it's going to be really great for you to test out and flex your skills if you're new to data science. So I don't think this is going to be a barrier to entry. And we'd be keen to see you're coming in fresh. Maybe you have your lens is going to be critical actually to see and identify areas that assume sort of a level of technical expertise that is not necessary. So please do, feel free to leverage the fact that you're new to data science and help us improve both tools.
Thanks so much. So we have another question around, would it be possible to have access to the documentation of CART and DOT? Yes, I think that is possible, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to put that into the Slack workspace. So as you join, we're going to have pinned messages. So take a look at those. That will contain some helpful resources, including that documentation. And we'll continue to add resources throughout the event as questions come up. So great question there. Timeline, very good question on that. I'm happy to answer that, Tally. So essentially, it starts today. So as soon as you enter the Slack workspace, please take the time to review the resources and the materials. And the event will go on until January 20th. So we completely recognize that you all have other roles and responsibilities in your life. So really, this event gives you the opportunity to contribute as your time and interest allows. So however much time you want to contribute toward this event, please feel free to do so. But we will be working on this through January 20th. So great question around that. Let's see. What is the programming language used in CART and DOT?
I believe both are Python.
Great. Great questions being asked here. Let's see what else. Are the systems something we will load locally, or is there a shared sandbox of some sort? I'm wondering, how do we build?
Good question again. you're going to get into the two repos and see there you can deploy them locally. Cart, I believe you don't even need to deploy it locally. You can use it out of the box. But I think we'll take that and figure out if it's important to create a sandbox, depending on what you're thinking of working on and what you're thinking of contributing. We will be sort of responsive to that as we go. Our teams are standing by to figure out what best sort of sandbox environment to create to test out new features and aspects.
Okay, there was a good question I happened to just catch in the chat. For those that may be having trouble accessing the link, please send us an email at community@datakind.org and we'll get you added. So we'll make sure to do that as well. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. Let's see. Let's just say I joined DataKind and from the start, can you explain to me what step I'm supposed to go through? So again, the great starting point for that is to click on the link to Slack. Once you join that workspace, or if you have trouble, email us and we'll add you. There will be a pinned message that shares with you the resources and how to get started. That includes information about each of the challenges, getting access to the repos. So I would say that would be a great place to start and spend the next day or so reviewing those materials. There's another question. How will we engage user knowledge in the process? I see the trend about abstraction and black box tools while users' knowledge is somewhat ignored in the process. This may be problematic in fields where user input are necessary, like the healthcare sector. Is there any effort in regard to finding a solution to that problem in the community? Sounds like there's already an observation. Tally, any thoughts?
I'm gonna have to process that question again, actually. I'm just trying to pull up the question so I can view it too. Shayna, could you talk me through that again, please?
Yeah, there should be a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and then when you open it, it'll have the questions there. But
Yeah.
it sounds like someone's making like a feedback
Mhm.
observation. So I think that's a great place where when you join Slack and take a look at the materials where you can bring those insights, thoughts for discussion.
Yeah, if I understood right, I think the comment is about ensuring that we get like the actual user input. And if I understand that right, absolutely at DataKind, all of the work that has been done so far, both on CART as well as on the data observation toolkit, these solutions have been co-created with organizations that are living, breathing these issues and working to provide essential care to communities around the world. So these have been co-created with with the intended end user throughout. Volunteers have always interacted with them, but we haven't spoken to everyone in the world. So if you have a look at it and you read through the documentation, you say, you know what, a perspective is really missing here. We would love to know that, and actually that would be valuable insight for us as well. I also just want to note, Shayna, I've been commenting on some of the technical questions, but I just looked at the chat and I know we have our we have one of our core volunteers who, Seb is here. Hi, Seb. Seb has been working on both CART and on DOT, and I just want to call out that Seb noted a very important point. To work on DOT, it could benefit, if you have some SQL skills as well, because it uses that DBT library. So just a quick note there to append the earlier response that I gave around what skills you might need on that one. And my colleague Jacob is also on there. So we've made a note of the question around whether we should be creating a sandbox environment. So we'll follow up on that in Slack as well.
Okay, great. There's a good question in terms of, well, in terms of extending and improving the UX and workflow, is there a preferred tech stack or solutions that the team prefer that we use?
Now that I know my colleagues are in here, folks. Jacob or anyone else, please feel free to chime in.
Great. So we'll get to that question, but it sounds like there's so much excitement and thinking already around this. So again, that's where we're emphasizing joining our Slack, because we do have a lot of pinned resources and GitHub. So all of those things where you're looking to access, Slack is your starting point. So please make sure to join. And if you're having trouble joining Slack, email us at community@datakind.org and we'll make sure to add you after this call. Great questions there. Let's see. There's a good question around, am I allowed to include DataKind in my LinkedIn experience section when I start contributing? Absolutely. For any volunteer type of work that you do, feel free to add that volunteer experience to resumes. As was mentioned earlier, we will also share a certificate. So we'll email that out to participants at the conclusion of the event. There's a good question around, can CART and DOT benefit from synthetic data sets?
Absolutely. Definitely, we've used synthetic data sets in DOT, and you'll find that we have plugged in one into the repo as well for you to just start, it's just so you have a data set to start playing with. Yes, absolutely. I think generating synthetic data sets is key because sometimes we find in order to demonstrate how a solution works, we don't really need to ask our partners for their data, or we can demonstrate the value of the tool using synthetic data sets. Absolutely. Frankly, I think even to address some of the challenges that we think you can work on, would be helpful to have a synthetic data set already there to show what's possible and the art of the possible.
Great. And there's a question around, how is a team assigned? And I think Tally spoke to this earlier. But again, as you enter the workspace, take a look at the challenges. Tally highlighted the challenges and problems that we'll be working on. And then there'll be an opportunity to join Slack channels based on what you're interested in contributing to. And then that will be an opportunity, again, as everyone starts to review the information, we want you to share your thoughts and questions, and that'll be a really nice organic way to kind of see where people's interests, your data superpowers are, what information you know about the sector at large, to be able to collaborate and work together. So thanks for that. There is a question, can we connect? There's a question about connecting through LinkedIn. For this specific event, we are using the Slack workspace, but as you get to collaborate and know one another, you're welcome to exchange, information to stay connected. But for the purpose of this event, to make sure that we have all the great insights, thoughts, and questions in one place, we're starting off with Slack. And then again, as you join, make sure to review those resources. They'll have information on how to get started, more information about the problems at hand. And also, we'll be around. So Tally, myself, our technical colleagues will also be in the Slack workspace to be able to answer questions as folks collaborate. Really great questions that are being asked. Great. It looks like we got to all of them. So wonderful. And it looks like we may have some time available. So if there aren't any other questions, again, the first step, join Slack and we will be there to help answer questions along the way. Also, you will get an email of this presentation, the links that we shared, the recording. We'll send that out via Eventbrite. And for those that are having trouble joining Slack, please email us at community@datakind.org and we'll be sure to add you manually. We recognize that sometimes happens, but we'll get you connected. Great.
Awesome.
All right. It looks like there's no other questions in the chat. Um, so let me go ahead and do the final last plug here because I know the chat moves really, really quickly. Um, there is the Slack link that I just put in. And yes, noted, there's good comment around GitHub Q&A for newbies. So thanks for sharing that. We'll take a look at doing that. Like we said, as questions come up, we'll be sure to populate and add more resources. So we appreciate the feedback there. And also, you all are already starting to help one another. I see a comment around using a web browser being helpful for Slack. So thanks. This is what it's all about, coming together as a community to help one another. So we're going to go ahead and end this call. Like I said, expect an email, and we'll also see you over in Slack. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today.